Hi, Kevin Tharp here. Today we're looking at the whole idea of writing for the web. And writing for the web is something that's sort of changed over the years as people have evolved into the web and started getting a hang of really what good content is. That idea of how do we write for the web has changed, and it's constantly been changing. And what we've found is we're in a position now, whether we like it or not, Google has gathered enough information about the way people that use the web that they have sort of become the de facto determiners of what actually makes something a good website, or what has good content. And so we're going to start with them because, frankly, most of the people that don't know who you are or what you're doing are going to find you through using Google or one of the other search engines. And that may change over time, but for the longest time, Google has had the control over that. And what they've done is they've started to identify what makes good content. And so one of the ways to look and see what makes good content is to go to a search, and I searched here for mums, and look for the first site that is not a paid site. This is not, sometimes you have the paid sites up at the top here. Look for the first site that shows up in the organic search. And let's go take a look at that. And I've already pulled this up. And when I go to mums, this is the site that comes up first. And what we find is that they've got quite a bit of stuff that fit certain criteria. Like, first off, there's quite a bit of information on this. It's not just a few short words and then it goes on. The main thing is, and the first thing they want to talk about is its original content. So this is not content that they have pulled from other pages. It hasn't been copied from other locations. This is most likely been written by writers that are working for, in this case, it is Better Homes and Gardens. And they have written information to be both informative, original, but also so that it can be found within a Google search. So when we look at that, there's a couple things that are important. First off is, like I said, it is original content. The second thing that you'll notice here is that there is one topic on this page. Now, and I'm excluding all this stuff on the sides, but the page itself, the main content of this page, it's got a single topic. It's talking about fall mums, your ultimate care guide. And everything that is sitting within here is related to mums, one way or other, annual or perennial, hardy versus florist, etc., etc., etc. So it really comes down to mums. What are mums? What are they good for? That kind of thing. And so it's got a single topic. It's not talking about any other annuals. It's not talking about any other any plants except for mums. So it has a single topic, and that is why when I did the search for mums, this page came up first, because it had a very strong page topic. Now, another thing on this page is that there's quite a bit. The article itself is pretty long. It's not crazy long, but it's pretty long. There's a substantial amount of information on this page generally related to mums. And so if this had only had this first paragraph, it's unlikely that it would have scored as large or as well as it did, because there just wouldn't have been enough information. But there's some substance to this page, and that's one of the things that they're looking at is there actually something to the page that you're going to? Is there a reason for users to go there and stay there? At one point in time, a page this long would have been shunned, because they would have said, oh, you don't want to make the users scroll through the page, but those days are gone. Now you're wanting to have a considerable amount of information on there. Now you'll notice that when I get down here, they've got more information. They've got videos. That's also a good thing to add to it. Videos, images, etc. But when I get down to the bottom of the page here, you'll notice that they have another page, and this one is specifically related to growing mums. So it's still part of the care guide, but this one is specifically related to growing mums. So while it's still about mums, it goes even more specific. So the topic is growing mums, and everything on this page is going to be committed to growing them. And then you see the varieties to look for, and we could keep following this through. So they have taken what could have been put a whole bunch of topics that were related on one page, and they've pulled them out into separate pages, so that if I did a search for varieties of mums, there's a good chance that I would find this page in there as well. And so you've got the different varieties of mums going in there. So now let's go back to this first page, and we want to take a look at the way that this page is laid out. You'll notice that they've got some architecture in here. They've got a large heading here. That's probably a heading level 1. They've got separate paragraphs. They've got images. But what they've got, we call this in-page architecture, and they're adding links. Here you've got another section that's going to be probably a heading level 2, heading level 3, another heading level 2, videos, etc. So what they've done is they've built some in-page architecture here, so that instead of it all just being paragraphs, they've broken it up into sections. So there's the Ultimate Care Guide, there's annuals or perennials, there's hardies versus florist mums. So that's that in-page architecture. So when you are creating it, you look at the content that you have, and just as if you were writing not for the web, if you were just writing a paper, but you would wanted to create an outline of what the major topics were and the subtopics, that's what they're talking about when we talk about in-page architecture. Now, the next thing we want to look at is the site architecture. So, and we can see that by looking in here. So, what we come to is it's BHG, Better Homes and Gardens, BHG.com. We're specifically talking about gardening. There's recipes, decorating, entertainment, etc. So they've created a section here with a directory called gardening. We're specifically looking at flowers. So when you look at their navigation here, we could have looked at regional gardening, gardening plans, landscaping, etc. But what we're looking at is flowers. We're specifically looking at flowers, and because of the way that they created their directory structure and the way that that corresponds to their navigation, it's giving information to the search engines about what that content is going to be. So we've got flowers, then we've got perennials, and then we've got all about mums. So that directory there is going to be all about mums. When I come to this one, okay, now here it could have had and let me remember what the topic was, growing mums. So here where they've got this question mark page equals 2, that would have actually been a little bit better if they had called this page growingmums.html. It would still be in the all about mums, but it would be growingmums.html. So that would have been actually a way to be a little bit better, just because it gives more information than that. And that said, they're ranking number 1 for mums, so they're not doing bad. They're doing, and this is one of those things that need to be considered in there. So that's our site structure, and like I already talked about, they're using the headings. The other thing is, if you go through here, you're not going to find any spelling or grammar errors. And while that may seem odd, it is believed that Google looks at that when it's giving credit to website pages. So if you've got a lot of misspelled words or poor grammar in there, and I'm not sure that that they do grammar, but certainly spelling, it's going to be less likely, 1, that Google's going to find you, and 2, that your viewers are going to see you as a credible source of information. So when you're writing for the web, just as for anything else, it's important that you have a good style. So you're using reasonable length paragraphs. You don't see any extremely long paragraphs here. One idea in a paragraph, and then it goes to the next one. Uses proper grammar and proper spelling to go on. We've already looked at, and this is a place where they're not doing a really good job, is that each page should have its own title. All of these are Fall Moms, Your Ultimate Care Guide. So what they could have done to make that even better is to in that page somehow, like this could have been all about moms or your ultimate care guide. This one could have included growing, your ultimate care guide to growing, or somehow adding to that title so that all these pages don't have the same title. That would just be a little step in the right direction. So that each page has its own page name, each page has its own title. You really shouldn't have two pages with the exact same title in your site. Now the next thing is, when you are writing, what you need to have in your head is you need to think about your users, and you need to think from the perspective of, if I was a user who was wanting to learn about whatever I've got on the page, in this case again it's mums, what keywords would I want to have in that page to make sure that people who are looking for this page are going to have it? So if I was looking for mums, obviously I'm going to have mums. I might have fall, garden, colors, flowers, perennials, chrysanthemums, annual, perennial. So what you're looking for is, what are the words that people are most likely going to use if they were looking for information about this? Greenhouses, indoor plants, etc. And so when you are writing, you need to think about that. And it's not a bad idea when you're writing for the web to actually start with the keywords. What are the keywords that I would want people to use when they're searching for my page in order to find it? Because if you use the words that you want them to find you with, then you're producing the content that takes into consideration the words that your end user are likely to utilize. Now that said, you also need to be careful about not doing what they call spamming keywords. In the late 90s through the 2000s, even up to 2011, people would throw in a bunch of samples of the keywords that they thought people would have, and they would write artificially within the page so that they would have, if the keyword is color, they would have color showing up all over their page, and it's called spamming. And it's not a natural way of writing, because what people were doing is they were writing for the search engines. They weren't writing for the end users. And that's the key to good writing for the web, is you're not writing for the search engines, you are writing for the end users. And if you do that well and you've got good content, then the search engines are going to find that, because as I started out with, they have learned to look at the kind of content that people produce and figure out what makes for good content. That said, sometimes good content gets slammed, but for the most part, if you write good content, you're going to get found by the search engines. And moving into the more technical side here, again, we're back to the Google results here, and you'll notice that here is the title of the article that we were reading. There's the path to it, and you'll notice that those directories show up right in there. Better Homes and Gardens, gardening, flowers, perennials. So that shows how their site structure was laid out, and that's part of the reason that they scored well. And then the next thing that they've got here is this little snippet of information that shows up with their listing in the search engine. And so if I come in here and I look at their page source, and I've pulled up their page source here, and what I do is I come in here and I find this, it's called the meta description tag. And if you look at that, what they're saying is, for the perfect late season bloomer, you can't go wrong with fall mums. Get tips to selecting the right variety, planting, growing, enjoying this fall favorite. So if we come back here and we go to the Google search, you're going to see that that meta description shows up right here. For the perfect late season bloomer, you can't go wrong with fall mums, etc. And so that comes from this meta description. And this is an important thing to include. When you're thinking about writing for the web, you're not just writing for the user once they're on the page, you're also writing for the user who you're trying to get to come to your page. And this meta description is one of the things that gets picked up by the search engines. It gets displayed to them. So this is your chance of controlling what's going to show up under your listing. And so you should do that, and it should include some of those keywords that you're going to want people to find on your page, because it looks for those there. So we've got late season, bloomer, fall, mums, tips, variety, planting, growing, enjoying, and fall favorite. So all of those are keywords that you're going to find in there, and you want to make sure that this description relates to the content that's in your page. So that's the next thing that you're going to want to include, is that meta description. And how do you do that? And I'll bring you into Dreamweaver here so that you can see how that plays out. And what you'll see is, you'll notice that inside of the head tag, inside the HTML tag, inside the head tag, you come to, and this one happens to sit below title. It can show up anywhere in the head tag. And there's this meta name description. And it talks about whatever that page is going to be about. Now, if I wanted to add that, and if I was doing this in Dreamweaver, things that I can do, I can choose to, in the Insert tab, I choose Head and then Description, and that's going to give me the ability to do that, and that would create this description name. Another place that you could go to is at the top, is Insert HTML, head tags, and then description, and that brings up the same thing. Now, I realize that not everybody is always going to be using Dreamweaver. There's a lot of other ways of doing it. Here happens to be a content management system where this happens to be the website for Menominee High School, the Mustang Corral, and they're a vocal music support group for the high school here in Menominee. And this happens to be on a Gemdo site, and what they've got is places where you can come in here, and one of the things that you can do is add that meta description. You can do page title, keywords, etc. But that description is one of the things that's in there, and it actually tells you how many characters it recommends for you to have in there. So it's good to check to make sure you have titles, meta descriptions, and it doesn't hurt to have keywords listed in that head tag as well, though those aren't used as much as they used to be for this. So there's different ways, and again, that meta description shows up right here. So that's an important element to include in your writing. And you know, sometimes it's good to write that first, to think about what is the description that I want on this page, and then you can write to the description, or the other way around. You can always do it last. But that idea of thinking about what is the content going to be, what are the keywords going to be, and how do I tie them in together. Now, the other thing that we can do is, there's no information that can be immediately pulled from an image and stored as content other than the image. In other words, there's no text information. And I'm going to go ahead and go to another one of these, and I'm going to visit this page. So we're now going to Keep Akron Beautiful website, and there's this picture of fall mums. And so what I want to do is I want to look at some information about this element, and I'm going to pull up this document here, which is view the information, and this is going to tell us some other things about this. So first off, we can see that the name of this file is fallmums.jpg, and that's helpful. When I go to that other site, the names of the files don't have any relationship to what's in there. There's some catalog description number that really has no meaning. But when you give this fall mums, that gives it additional information that can contribute to the ability for search engines to understand what's in that. And the other thing that's here, and you should always use an alt tag, and you'll see that the associated text here, if you come to this site and you can't view the image, this is what it's going to say. Fall mums are a beautiful addition to any garden. And so what that's doing is it's taking that image and it's adding text information about that particular image so that it can be indexed by the search engines, so that people can see what the content of that image is even if they can't see the image. And that's just a good step in the right direction towards the way that you should be writing this. So to go back over this, again, we want to focus on original content, because that's what the users of your site are going to want to do. We want to have a single topic on a page if it is at all possible. Sometimes you're going to have multiple topics, but if there is enough information about any one topic to justify writing a page about it, you're better off to give it its own independent page and write enough about it that it is useful to the people who are coming to your page. You want to use in-page architecture in the form of headings. You've got headers, headings, images, and such. So you build that structure into the page, and you'll notice that they're doing that here too. You want to have like I said, you want to have the use of headings. You want to make sure you have good grammar and spelling. You want to make sure that you have proper page title. And here again, mums galore, keep Akron beautiful. That's a better title for the page than just fall mums on all the different pages. You want to make sure that you have keywords that you want people to find you with. They need to be used naturally in the flow of the page, but you can't expect somebody to find your page on chrysanthemums using a search for chrysanthemum if it's not in there. And so what they've done there is they've used a synonym. So there's mums and chrysanthemums. So you need to write to make sure that sometimes you're going to want to bring in a synonym that somebody is likely to be using to search for that same word, whatever that keyword is. And you don't want to spam the keywords. You don't want to throw them in there unnaturally. And like I said, there have been discussions about keyword density and all that. In the end, what you want to do is you want to write naturally. You want to make sure that you have that meta description so that when people get to your site through a search engine, they're able to see and you're able to control what the first information is that shows on that page. And you'll notice that that's limited to, I believe, around 160 characters that they'll show in that. So that's what you should target is approximately 160 characters to get in there. And then you want to make sure that you use good quality images, that you give them names that are related to the content that are in them, and that you give them alt tags so that they can be indexed and so that people who can't actually see the images are able to tell what belongs in there. And that, boiled down to its finest part, is the way that you should write for the web. And if you do that, then your people are more likely to find your site, and once they find your site, they're more likely to read your site and get the information that they want. And ultimately, that is our goal as web designers, is to provide the end users with whatever it is that they want. And so your writing should be adjusted to do just that. Thank you very much. That's all I've got for today. Bye.